Hey y'all, it's Cannon. So, right? Teddy Atlas reveals that ESPN fired him because he reviewed corrupt judges just like Glenn Feldman. Teddy Atlas is a trainer, commentator, podcast guy. He's been throughout boxing history, he's had a lot of significant moments throughout the time of himself being a trainer and a commentator. First of all, there was an occasion where he ran up on one of the judges. He literally confronted a judge and was like, and essentially made the judge just basically say, yep, there was some bias here towards when it came to the scorecards and these judging. So that kind of shows you what type of character that Teddy Atlas is. Teddy Atlas used to commentate on old Deontay Wilder fights back when Deontay Wilder was new to his career, and exposed the promotion and how Deontay Wilder was being marketed and moved up as a fighter. God damn. But yeah, that was a little distracting right there. But to continue, Teddy Atlas is a person who has been very vocal about everything. He's a very vocal individual. He doesn't like to, cherry pick anything or, not say what's like on his mind. It's not cherry pick, but it's like another term. But he just likes to say what's on his mind, And Teddy Atlas was also known for Mike Tyson, being one of Mike Tyson's former trainers, threatening to put a gun at his face. Threatening a 13-year-old kid, basically. Yeah. And that's when they no longer got along after that moment. Then after that point, he worked with Michael Moore to be unified heavyweight champion, to beat Evander Holyfield, which is surprising. Michael Moore was a fighter who always got hurt, who always was in pain, who always got hurt, who didn't have the greatest of chin. He never had a good chin like that, He could have got stopped against Burt Cooper in that fight. I remember watching that to myself, matter of fact. I remember watching the Burt Cooper fight, and I was just like, if this happened today, this fight would have been stopped in the first round. Clearly would have been. Michael Moore looked out of it completely. Then he managed to regain his composure, then actually get the victory, which is surprising. It looked like when he got hurt right there, he looked like he was gone for the taking and he should have been stopped, But as for corrupt judges, people want to say that Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk was corrupt judging based off of the scorecard that they gave for AJ, and that corrupt judging exists. Corrupt judging does indeed exist. It exists, all right? And corrupt judging does exist. There have been many points in boxing history where people have been robbed, like Pernell Whitaker against Cesar Chavez, or even a fight which didn't go to the distance. And that was Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz, 85-85, 85-85. Did you guys really think that scorecard is 85-85 though? It really depends on how you view it. Personally, I thought the fight was close, but many people complain that the scorecards are way too close and they should have been a lot more wide in terms of Luis Ortiz's favor, just like in their 2019 fight, and where the scorecards were not even close. Luis Ortiz was outboxing Deontay Wilder completely and letting those rounds slip by. Based off of him letting Deontay Wilder slip those rounds, I was surprised that I was surprised that Deontay Wilder gave Tyson Fury such a good fight in their first and third matchups. The third fight was good in its own way because Deontay Wilder was winning some rounds and he was also dropped Tyson Fury 2 times. But in the first fight, it was all around competitive. Deontay Wilder had good agility, had good skill. He knew how to move around the ring. He knew how to operate on the scorecards. He knew how to do a lot of things. It's just that he was truly exposed for being a one-dimensional fighter in their rematch. Where the scorecards were right, though, the scorecards were very right. I'm going to give you guys some examples of scorecards that were a little suspect. Evander Holyfield versus Lennox Lewis. The first fight. That was not seen very highly. I was not seen very highly at all. So, Lennox Lewis got robbed of an undisputed fight. Number 2, which one was that? Chris Bird versus that Puerto Rican fighter. Chris Bird versus guy's name. Let me search it up. Hold on. Chris Bird versus starts with an F. Yeah, his name starts with an F. And Frezzo Kendo. Yep, Chris Bird versus Frezzo Kendo. And in the Frezzo Kendo matchup, he debatably lost that fight. And I feel as though for every single person who went against Frezzo Kendo, it was always a very competitive fight, no matter if you were Oliver McCall or if you were Chris Bird, who was an elite boxer, or if you were Evander Holyfield. Like, Frezzo Kendo always seemed to give every single fighter a good run for their money every single time, But speaking about corruption in the sport of boxing, he was offered $1 million to fight Ruslan Chigaev, and he almost beat Ruslan Chigaev for that WBA World Heavy title as well, just to not get the money. Maybe signed a contract to the LLC, which didn't have much money, and not the actual person, and not the actual. I have no idea. You signed up for John LLC. You didn't sign up for John himself. Contractual disputes and contractual issues that promoters take advantage of their fighters with. Which is absolutely disgusting. Not only with scorecards, but also with contracts. But to continue, when it comes to a lot of close fights, scorecards can always be disputed. Cambosos was disputed with the two Lee Selby and Mickey Bay. There are so many significant robberies in the sport of boxing that it's very interesting. People claim that Sergey Kovalev versus Ward was a robbery. People claim that Sean Porter versus Errol Spence was given to the wrong fighter. Personally, for me, though, I feel as though Andre Ward won that fight and Errol Spence won that fight convincingly. Andre Ward did not win that fight convincingly. It could have gone either way. I was close to giving it a draw, but I gave it 115-113 for Andre Ward. So that was just my opinion. And, man, what other ones? Michael Spinks versus Larry Holmes. Michael Spinks versus Larry Holmes is also another one that people would consider a robbery. And Jermaine Taylor versus Bernard Hopkins. I put those in I like to compare those because both fights had rematches where one was unanimous and the other one was a split decision. And people consider both of those fights to be disputed wins. Michael Spinks' career went out very interesting with that 1-round knockout by Mike Tyson. In the lower weight classes, you have a lot of close decisions as well in this sport, but corruption is typically spoken about in higher weight classes, and it really just depends on your opinion as well. People want to talk about Saul Canelo Alvarez, because he's the CEO of having scorecards and corruption. He's the CEO of having scorecards and corruptions. Amir Khan. Amir Khan. Arislandi Lara, Floyd Mayweather. Who else? Gennady Golovkin, both fights. Miguel Cotto. And the list goes on with his opposition. Most of his fights could have been disputed victories for the other opponent. Well, not most of his fights. Most of his close fights could have been disputed for the other person, And a lot of fights against certain types of styles of fighters. Personally for me, that fight between Floyd Mayweather and him was not a disputed decision. And Canelo beat Gennady Golovkin. Yep, Canelo beat Gennady Golovkin in my opinion, but everything else is I haven't watched the entirety of the Arislandi Lara versus Canelo fight, but I will say Lara looked like he was just moving around a lot, and I probably maybe would give the fight to Canelo. Canelo's a phenomenal boxer, though. Phenomenal fighter, but even against Dimitri Bivol, 115-113 in a fight where he obviously lost 117-111 to 118-110. The corruption in the sport is ridiculous, man. But I thank you guys for watching. I'm trying to make it to 1,000 subscribers, so can you please subscribe to my channel? All right, goodbye. Thank you guys for watching.